How many times did you lose?
That's
How
one.
many times did you quit?
We live.
How many hours you put
Parkway
on
Automotive
that you knew you'd never
Studios.
get back?
El Jefe
Fearless, make them
returns
fearless.
with
That's the
Isaac Stackhouse from the Dream No Gi Camp. It is
We're
the
back. I'm a little tanner.
like from Full House.
No, tan. Like tanner.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why I said that. That was like Full House. Do you remember the Tanners from Full House?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't know why you. I followed you there, but I was confused. I was talking about my melatonin.
Ugh, my
Melanin.
brain is just like blah things. It's like,
It's
oh
the
yeah,
hat.
yep, it's the hat. When I have the El Jefe hat on, things just like materialize in front of us.
So
Yeah, it's
we're
been
back.
a minute. I'm gonna take it off so I can hold my thing the right way here.
Okay.
I do love the hat though. It's the El Jefe hat. Yeah. So back from Costa Rica, the Dream No Gi Camp. Technically, man, this is probably like one. Like even though we've done some stuff before, none of it was even remotely close to the scale and size of what we did last week. So I guess sponsors first, Musgrove Trial Firm, Dogfight Dojo, Supernatural Survival Gear. I was gonna bring in one of the rash guards, but
I wore one this morning.
Yeah,
If you go to
I
your
understand.
Instagram post, I have one on.
yeah. So I left it on the table. They turned out pretty well. I liked them a lot. They're pretty dope. So thank you to them and Foxhound Fuel for sending the hydration stuff because it was humid.
Yo, shout out to the Foxhound Fuel though, because I did the day we went surfing, I started cramping up like on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh no. And so I took I took the one that you're supposed to drink during the exercise, and then the one that was for before, mixed them together, chugged that, and then I drank the after one when we got back to the room, and I was able to train that night. No
Nice.
cramps. I only cramped once.
Boom, bro. And it was
Good.
obviously 100% humidity
Yeah.
in the
The whole time.
rainforest. It rained at night a bit and a few times in the afternoon a little bit, but not really too much. So the weather was mostly nice, man. And I don't mind those thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening and stuff. It's kind of pretty.
It cooled things off.
It definitely cools it off a bit. So that's the advantage of that time of year too. Is it's not just like sweltering out there. So yeah, that was good and fun, and thanks for them for having stuff like that for us. Overall, I think we probably hit a high percentage of whatever satisfaction rate. Obviously, not 100% when you're dealing with stuff like that, and especially the first time. Overall, very satisfied though with what happened. I think for myself, I don't think I had as much fun as other people did because I was looking at all the individual stuff a lot of times. But I did have a lot of fun. I did, get some good training in myself for sure. I did pick up some new tips again from people that, have really strong game in their own rights from wherever they're from. Several black belts were there, like I said, brown belts and stuff training.
Couple world champions. There was a world champion purple belt there.
Oh, wait.
She won.
Lauren. Yeah, that's right. Sorry. I threw me off for a second.
Yeah. My bad.
Boom. No, it's okay. Yeah, Lauren was there. Lauren Sears, really awesome. Just so many like high level competitors, but also just like cool people to hang out with that were there. And dude, like I am a bit like, it's weird, I guess, being on this show and doing all the things where I'm the one that's talking so much or whatever. But I do like to just like observe people a lot of times and sit back. I'm like a people watcher, and I do enjoy doing that a lot of times. So I enjoyed a lot of that part of it. And one of the interesting parts about it all, is like everybody. And I've been thinking about it from a personal perspective. I wonder what I do when I'm doing this thing, because I think it's a thing that all of us kind of do sometimes. But like when you're meeting new people and stuff, like what are the like stories that you like to tell about yourself that not like bad stories or good, whatever, but just like the things that humanize you or whatever to people in a lot of ways. I thought that was really interesting because we have people from all over, the place that were there, and so everybody, had their own unique kind of stories. But then certain people would really vibe with each other once they kind of figured out, who each other was and how they kind of like to kick it or whatever and stuff. So I think people built relationships from that'll carry forward from the camp, and stuff like that. So that was really interesting and fun. And then obviously being able to teach at a place like that, even though it was the thing that I put on, teaching was still like I was nervous, to teach some of the people out there and go over some of the stuff that was there with people who were really high level, and people that could probably, or honestly, like I said, several of the people have already beaten me like in competition or whatever that I was about to teach a class to. That's weird. Not really, but like, you know what I mean? Just like it's a little like, well, what should I say right here?
You can almost train with anybody or like take something away from anybody at that point, though.
Right? Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It was really fun to walk around when everybody was like, kind of like we do here at the school, but there was like several groups that had a black belt or a really high level, like purple belt or like Jake Elkins or whatever, really high level wrestlers or Matt Elkins, also being there, like just different style with those two guys, but just being able to sit down and like play a game with them a couple of times, instead of just having that one-off role in the PGF kind of deal. It was fun. It was fun to get like a few rolls in. One time Matt and I decided we were just gonna both put like our one arm in the sleeve.
Yeah.
And went like one arm, like only left arms or whatever out. That was really fun, man. It's kind of hard to do certain stuff because you couldn't post or you couldn't like get an underhook certain ways or whatever and stuff like that. So it was fun to do, just playing games with people. A lot of stuff like that was really like cool to be able to do that kind of stuff, obviously the house that we stayed in, the views from there were just amazing.
Everybody's views. Like I saw where the people were at the hotel because that's
Costa Verde was amazing for sure.
Because we were up at we were training at Costa Verde.
At Hotel Costa Verde, yep.
And then there were people that were staying in two different houses, and the different houses both had like different like looking over jungles and like it. We were making the joke about like it looked like Jurassic Park half the time.
Yeah, for sure.
So like I'm a believer. Like I get it. Like we joked about it when we got there. Like, oh, now I see it. And so like I think everybody had a really good time.
No, I think so too, man. And I think that being there and actually getting to do it, now we know what it looks like to have to do it. And before there were a lot of things that were like, yeah, we'll get it done, but now we know how better, and we don't have to just kind of wing it to figure it out or whatever. So that's going to make next year just a lot more streamlined and a lot more easy. So I think going forward, we have most of the people said that they're ready to go ahead and commit to next year's camp, which is kind of interesting. We don't really look to grow anymore because we bought a certain amount of mats, and we are not doing that again. So we don't really need to grow past our capacity at this point because there's really no reason to.
Yeah.
And I like people that want to stick with stuff or whatever. So if everybody wants to stay with it and keep coming every year, that's fine. We'll make it a trip like that, and we'll give everybody who's coming like first dibs usually. And then, if anybody decides they can't come or don't come, then we can let, new people filter in through that and keep I don't know, hopefully it'll be a really cool thing to run for a while down there, and we can keep going back and, doing it with different people and different teachers and different stuff like that. And maybe even move it around a little bit sometimes too down there once we kind of get our legs under us better. Just figure out a little bit more logistics that we don't have. That way we don't stress out and overdo it.
Well, shout out to like the local Lorenzo and his guys. They did definitely a great job.
So yeah, Lorenzo from Manuel Antonio Surf School, they helped us out a lot, and Lorenzo came and trained or whatever. He's been my guy, my contact guy down there since the first time I rolled. That's the only reason I even had the idea. It's because he was down there and teaching and training stuff. But yeah, we did a surf thing together, and bro, that was pretty rough.
Yeah. How did I was going through the surf footage yesterday in a coffee shop.
Oof. Did you see?
Yeah.
Is there footage of me?
I'm not gonna confirm nor deny.
Oof, bro.
It exists.
I'm
I know where it is.
I'm super competitive.
Yeah,
Super competitive.
we saw
Ev-
that.
Okay. I know y'all know that. But like I wanted to do it. I just wanted to try to get it right. You know what I mean? And I kept feeling close.
Yeah.
But then part of it that was frustrating, and this is like maybe my life sometimes. They're talking about the rules or whatever. Lorenzo's telling us about the rules, and then one of the other like guys is like, "Hey, you," talks to me or whatever. Like, you got to go over there and get something that was on top of the car, off the top of the car. And like as I'm running away, I hear Lorenzo say like, "And this is probably the most important thing." And then I come back and everybody's like, "All right, Stephen, you're a captain, and like, it's gonna be like all this and this." And then like I spend the rest of the time just getting like just smashed by these waves, bro. And like the guy was like, "You got to go under." And I was like, "Cool, I'll go under." And I remember being a kid, like in smaller like waves or whatever. You're just like, "All right, y'all just like dive through that, baby. Come on, let's go." And then I just was like several times head over feet or whatever. And I think my guy was trying to be helpful, man. I believe he was actually. I don't think he was like messing me up on purpose, but I think that he was like messing me up. Like he wasn't giving me enough information because when I got over there to Lorenzo the second time out, he showed me how to like control my board and stuff like that. And I think I got up like one time long enough to say that I really did it.
I'll find the freeze frame and send it to you.
I don't know, man. But I got up a few times enough that I was on my feet with like my fingers kind of holding on my balance and stuff like that. So,
which probably means you were leaning out over your toes a little bit, and so
Mhm.
then that was probably what you were probably tumbling head first each time.
I just think honestly, that's what I'm saying. I just kept feeling like I needed more reps, but I was getting tired. I was getting beat up by the ocean, not knowing how to control the board.
Yeah.
Not knowing how to handle the actual bigger waves that were out there, because these weren't like big waves, you know what I mean? But for if you've been in the Gulf of, you know, Mexico around Panama City or whatever,
it was a washing machine. Like it wasn't
massive. Awful. No, it wasn't bad at all.
But it was
enough. To
the guys that were out there helping that were instructors were coming in being like, yeah, we're tired.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's like, all right, well, if it gave them a workout, then I don't feel awful.
They earned their money that day for sure.
Yeah. I will say none of us looked like Kelly. Some of us could look the part, but none of us looked like Kelly Slater out there.
Some people were
Mary got a couple good rides. I think Mandy got 3 or 4 good rides in. So there were some of us that were doing all right.
Kelly got up really well.
Oh, did she?
Yeah,
okay.
She was doing really well too. That's it.
I was drowning for a little bit out there, but we were good. Those cramps weren't the fun part.
It's weird that most of the girls got up, not the guys.
It's interesting about that because I've seen that in jiu-jitsu. I know people that are like marksmen or shooting instructors that say that like women and females seem to pick up the ideas of something like that a lot easier than men. You think
it could be true? I don't know.
You think that they don't come in like, oh, I know how to do this? Because I definitely do that with things.
I think there's a lot of stuff like that. I went in with the fact that I didn't know how to do it though, and I still like
still got wrecked.
I tried to do it the way they do it, and I think for me it was mostly just being like big and heavy and needing to have like really, really good balance.
Did anybody help you pick out your board, or did you pick out your board?
They told me to grab one, but I don't know.
They told you which one to grab?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because you might have, that also might have been something that you
I probably got the biggest one that they had for sure, or whatever. It was long. It was long. And then, so like learning how to get up on the board, like the other guy was like letting me like jump on from the side. Right. And Lorenzo was like, no, dude, you got to like come on from the back. And then that's how you'll like get the stuff going. And I was like, oh, that's really easy. As in, you know what I mean? So
the
like,
same idea.
I just needed reps. You know what I mean? I just needed more reps with somebody that could sit down and tell me, kind of like you were saying, if I could have had another day to go out there with just like kind of like a private sort of, and I probably would have got a lot better. I'm not saying I'll be out here like shredding or whatever people say when they're doing well, but I'd be standing up more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But like, I mean, it's interesting to feel like a
it
white
was a
belt
lot
at
of
something.
fun. Yes, and
yeah.
it was, and the physical part of it. Like I said, my competitive nature came out, and not with anybody. Like I didn't want to beat the other people who were out there trying to surf. Like I wasn't even looking at other people. I was just like, I'm gonna, bro. There's no way I'm not gonna like do this once. Like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna get up one time, or I'm gonna drown, and everybody's gonna be like, they'll never forget this camp anyway.
Either way, we're going down in history as the greatest camp ever.
Oof. But that was cool. That was like honestly, it was.
Would you be offended if we still trained at your funeral?
I mean, no, I would be okay with that.
Okay.
It would probably be cool. I respect it. Like you just got to go hard though.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we'd have a moment.
It had to be rough.
Yeah.
And then we did the waterfall like tour thing.
That was an interesting day.
I'm old. Like, we did a 2 or 3 of them or whatever, and I was like, man, this is really, really.
We were supposed to do 4.
Yeah, how many did we do? Oh,
3.
Okay, well, the one that we did, I skipped one, or we skipped one because the river was running fast, right by the.
Oh, did you not do that one?
The third one,
the one that was like the
right
suction
before
one
lunch.
that shoots you out. Yeah,
no,
when they were like standing at the bottom of the waterfall, being like, "Amigo, we need to hurry."
Our guy, our guy told us, don't.
Yeah.
Wait, that was the second one, right? The top one where they drop you off.
Where like Lorenzo held you by your shoulders and like dropped you.
I also did not do that one, but I was there because, like, dude, it wasn't that part of it that scared me, but it was that like 40-foot like rope ladder that you had to climb.
Oh, rope ladder was generous. I believe that it was made out of rebar, but it was fun.
Okay, well, rebar is okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was ropes.
I
didn't.
It was not as secure as you would think.
Yeah, and I'm heavy, man, and that's kind of like the zip lining thing. This dude was like, "Oh, the maximum like weight capacity is like 280," and I was like, "Man, I'm at least
I've been vacationing
minimum 250 something, like minimum 250 something." And I did.
I don't want to push my luck.
A few big meals, and like I've been, relaxing a lot. So. Yeah, no. I don't even want to be within 20 to 30 pounds of the weight limit of this zip line. So I'm cool, man. I was just like, get some videos.
Having fun.
Such. Yeah, hey, it was fun, man. It was to watch everybody else do it. I'm not that guy though. But the waterfall stuff was fun. I enjoy being out there, being in the nature, and like I like going on hikes and stuff, I think
it was fun.
Cramming all those into one day was a lot. So maybe, excuse me.
Some form of water shoes for future people that are going is a good idea.
Yeah, I see that.
I had Crocs and I had boots, and I had my boots on, and they were like, "You're not going to want to wear those." And I was like, "Oh man, I left the Crocs." And then Crocs are not really the jungle shoe, so water shoes for the waterfalls.
I think that's one thing. That's one thing, but one thing for sure that I will and do better is make sure that people kind of understand the things that I may take for granted that I just kind of do, getting water shoes and stuff like that. Like I just thought about, and even the first year we went, we kind of got some little cheap ones to use to just throw away because we knew we wouldn't want to use like our regular kind of shoes and stuff. So like having stuff like that, just like laid out for everybody who may not think about stuff like that. Not that it's simple stuff, but it's just stuff that you may not think about. There's other stuff that I wouldn't think about that somebody else brought, and I'd be like, oh man, that would probably make that makes stuff easy. Idea. I'll probably bring that too. You know what I mean? So like there just stuff like that we figured out about it is gonna help the process on everything like that. But those waterfalls were amazing. And then apparently the last one, and this is what I mean about being just like, they got wet and cold, had lunch and sat there, and they're like, all right, we can go in the car again one more time and then go to this other one. And I was like, oh man, or y'all can go home. I was like, oh, I'll just go home, dude. I need like to chill and take a nap, and like, or I'm gonna be no good for the rest of the day.
You missed some magnificent Costa Rican ground karate,
and so like literally they were grappling out there. That's what I was.
The lifeguards were just kind of like looking at us off to the side. Brandon McCatherine was over there, just like coaching people through stuff. It was great. You'll have to catch it on the Dream Show.
That's what I'm saying.
It'll happen.
I'm gonna have to tune in on that too.
You have to tune in.
It's cool, man. Like I'm like, and that's the thing. Like, I'm glad everybody had so much fun and even fun without me. That's fine.
It was the most
That's-
jujitsu-iest trip that you could have been on. It was pretty fun.
And there's
There was
gonna
a
be
lot of
even
jujitsu.
more jujitsu next time.
That's dope.
Yeah, because now we figured out like we can find people that'll clean up and do the mats for us and stuff. Because we had to like do the mats and then we had to cover them with a tarp because they were kind of in this.
Because we're in a jungle.
It's covered.
And you're in a jungle and it's
yeah,
100% humidity.
And there's no walls, right? And then iguanas would like be just like scampering through the joint. You
Monkeys.
know what I mean? Monkeys everywhere. And so we just covered the mats to keep them, as clean as we could. But then they would never dry. So it was like a, like I said, stuff like that that obviously I kind of knew stuff about, but had no like idea how we could combat it until we got out there with that much space and that much mats laid out or whatever. So that's going to be better with that happening because now we can just train more and not have to worry about spending an hour each time or hour and a half each time.
Joe put me on the spot this morning. What was the biggest thing or like your favorite thing you learned from all the techniques and stuff? Not even necessarily one of the seminars, like maybe something you picked up from a side conversation, because that stuff was just as interesting, if not more, than some of the like organized stuff. Was just the side conversations happening during and after training.
Honestly, man, it's the difference in it's not the newest thing that or the best technique or whatever, but get another just like awareness of how different everybody thinks, even amongst high level people, because there's a moment where this group was training and then Lindsay said to do one thing and then I came by and they asked me something and then I was just like, oh, this other thing. And then Kyle came over and was like, no, just this thing, like it's completely separate from each other,
all on the same exact moment.
Sequencing a sequence or whatever you pass or whatever kind of idea. And not to, and I don't think either was necessarily trying
None
to.
None were
like,
wrong.
It was just like, this is what I would do for
right.
the problem you're having is because I would do this. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's I can see that, I guess, but I would just do this, and it's like, okay, cool. And so just seeing that again is like, a good lesson in being a good coach and trying to figure out how to get everybody to buy in, but also leave room for the individual, choice, for processing or whatever, because, Kyle's a freaking beast. He's a specimen, dude.
Bro, I did not realize how big that dude was, honestly, until I saw him standing next to you.
He's strong.
When I was looking through the camera, I was like, he's big.
He works very, very hard. He knows how to use his body very well, and
the motion was impressive.
Yeah, that was really cool to see that again and be up close to it and get 5 or 6, 7 rounds in with Kyle, I guess, during the week. Was really fun. Like he went in on me a few times, and then I made him get on top and he got like mount and like held a really strong mount. And I was like, all right, good, man. Like a strong play because I was going to try to trash you from the top, So, that his leg locks are really good and everybody expects all that kind of stuff from him, but the guy's got a complete game. He just does what he likes the most. And that's it, right? That's all you get to really do most of the time. So that was fun. That was the just for me again, being where I'm at was seeing the difference in opinions being played out just like in real time without people necessarily being argumentative. They were just, people were just talking.
Yeah, it was a pretty laid back setting too. Like there wasn't any really animosity. There was a lot of 10 people. There was other people from other affiliations there, a couple.
Yeah, there was a group. Not a group of the same people, but there was a group of people who weren't 10P affiliated.
So it was a pretty laid back, like sharing information type environment. Like it was competitive. Like a lot of people had the people that wanted hard rounds were getting hard rounds, but I think that it was a very good like sharing of the art type of vibe.
Yeah, I think it was really good. And now, again, like I said, knowing what we know now, I think next time it's just gonna make it so much easier to do it. So I'm excited going into the next one. Some other like of the cool stuff, I guess, would be crap. After the waterfall day, we did the catamaran tour on the last day.
Bro, those scenes like over the cliffs, that was
It's
pretty
sad.
amazing.
It's sad because I enjoy that. Like I like it a lot, but I get motion sickness now. Like, and I even took like motion sickness medicine or whatever, and I had to go I just like lay down, dude. I wasn't even like drinking or anything. I didn't have anything to drink or just water. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I was like, I just want to go out here. Like, I want to go be able to just enjoy being out there and like seeing the cliffs or whatever.
Yeah.
So I went out there and made it. I don't know how long I was up, man. I
You
felt
were up long enough. We got some
Yeah.
good footage. We got some good conversation on the back of the boat. I don't know if the Dramamine
I don't know if it was,
was
well, because we got stalled out, right? It was
Right.
supposed to be at a certain point, and then it was later. And then me not knowing enough about the stuff, I didn't know if I needed to take more or less or whatever. And I don't want to risk doing it again right away either because that was tough.
seasickness or motion sickness from like I've had
So I get
touches
it.
of
I
it.
get
It's
it in the
bad.
back of like shuttle buses and stuff
Yeah.
like that too. So like I think that's what it is. And I can't think it used to not ever happen, but I guess it's probably like I say it's probably concussion related or something because I can think of another reason why it would just like start happening. I guess if it's not ever happening.
I think it can do something with age too. Like because you gotta think about it is like old people falling is kind of a thing, and that's usually their equilibrium's going different ways because that like fluid changes.
I gotta invert more.
That's it. More Barambolos, more Grambies.
Fast ones.
So,
but that was amazing, dude. Like just
yeah, it was really cool.
being out there and like getting to jump out into the water and swim around a little bit and float on the little pool noodles. It's kind of fun.
My massage therapist swears that because I was jumping in all those waters, that it was some healing jungle waters because my ankle's all better now.
Hey,
notified.
Look that up.
See,
we can
come to the Dream Camp.
We heal ankles at the Dream Nogi Camp.
Allegedly.
It's not exact science, okay? But
so back to the real world. What's it like?
It's cool, man. It's fun. Back teaching the classes. Everybody's except for Zach is back.
Yeah, we lost Lil Hefe.
Lil Hefe is down there doing Lil Hefe shit. I don't even know what that means. But yeah,
you have to tune into the Dream Show for that.
You have to see. He, but without Zach being there, it's a little bit strange just because he's always in every class. But it's good to be back teaching classes. I like being, at home. I'm like a homebody, which is weird to say, I guess, because I travel a lot. But like when I'm here, I like to just kind of be around the house. I like teach at the gym. Like it's all within like a small little radius or whatever. So I took some time. What's today's Wednesday?
Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah, like Monday or whatever, and just like did some like journaling or whatever about my thoughts about the trip to go ahead and try to like decompress or whatever because I've read about and heard about before, and I think I've experienced it obviously, but I thought it was just like related to probably fighting being such a crazy thing, but just like kind of post-event depression stuff or whatever, you just kind of get like down, the dopamine goes away or whatever from the stress and the anxiety of trying to put on a event or whatever and stuff like that. And people say like being able to like just get like your thoughts out of it on paper or whatever you do to get it out, like process everything and put it down, helps to like move past it in a way that you don't really like carry over from the stress or whatever in a bad way. You like get, so that was really cool to kind of get the I wrote down first like as many of the good things I could kind of think about what happened, and then I thought I made a list of not good and bad, but of like things I thought that were really good and things that need improvement from what happened, so there was a list of things that needed improvement, but nothing that was like, drastic that needed to be done. But there was definitely like we talked about a few times, there's just a few things that could make it better. And if we can make it better, then why not make it better? And so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make it better for everybody. Try to do it around that same week. I think it's like end up being like the 9th through the 15th, I think, or whatever, instead of the 10th through the 16th.
I think that's what I saw you post.
Exact numbers. So we're building out like a Shopify page so people can purchase the stuff and they can go ahead and pre-buy tours and they can have, get their email so we can send them all the waivers and different things that they'll need, and then go ahead and like bombing them with the FAQ stuff. That way you have almost a full year from now or whatever much time from where you sign up to start.
It's a lot like when you go on a cruise. Like when you go on a cruise and like you sign up for stuff, like you can't sign up for stuff like once you're sitting there on the beach, you're like, ooh, I'd like to do that. They're like, well, we sent you the pamphlet.
Yeah.
Like
and so that's what we talked about too. And with Lorenzo is like, man, if you want to deal with that kind of stuff when you get there, you just charge them whatever, the
if they
radius
didn't
for a
sign up
show-up
on
day
the
or whatever.
if
if you can accommodate them, then do that. Because that's one of the things that needed improvement. Like people were like, even like literally up until the night or morning before of some of the tours, they're like, I don't know. And then they showed up and there wasn't enough like space on the bus and stuff a little bit, which, we could have been better prepared for. And then, unfortunately, the hustle came on like that moment we had right before the catamaran tour. I totally thought that was like a perfectly scripted moment that you came up. Everything was all good.
The guy came up and was like asking for who was in charge. This was part of being in a foreign country too. Sometimes of like the dude comes up to me and like starts asking for who's in charge. And we had started making the joke because of the beginning of the week. We had started calling you El Jefe. And I was like, oh, this is the perfect opportunity for the dream show for me to make a joke. And I was like, hey man, like I'll get you like $5 to go say this guy and like call him El Jefe. And he was like, oh, El Jefe. And then that meant that he thought you were the really big boss.
I was the boss.
So he was like,
and so the price went up $10 per person all of a sudden. And it was
like, oh,
man,
that was a joke.
This is for YouTube. The way that the money we brought with us is set up is no.
So we learned some lessons in foreign countries.
Yeah, it's the humor could be lost on other people with the language barrier and the fact that that's how they survive, is making money off of tours and tourism and stuff.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a hustle. I saw that on the beach when we were down there hanging out. Wasn't it? I was like, oh okay. Like if you come down here and you don't know anybody, like you better know your price, because whatever price you take, they'll be like, yeah, that's what it costs.
Somebody can accommodate you at whatever price point you're at, and you may not want that to be done for you at that price point. Certain things, because you can die down there in certain situations. Like it can be very dangerous. Like if you're in the water with somebody that's not really trained enough and doesn't know
help
enough.
You.
Yeah, if they don't know what they're doing, you could literally die.
I grew up doing things like that on the river and stuff like that in Alabama. And like you get the wrong person taking you to a sketchy thing that's just like, yeah, I'll do that for $200.
Like that, you know what I mean? Like when it started raining hard, they're like, no, we have to go now. Some people could have been like, oh yeah, it should be fine. You know what I mean?
And flash flooding's a pretty big issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what they were concerned about. It's not that it should be fine. It's like, but maybe it's not. So
that maybe's a pretty big maybe.
You don't recover from our maybes if we're down here.
It's almost like that's a relation to some jiu-jitsu there.
Right. Dude, you could see a lot of it. And dude, that was the one thing. Once I put together the relationship between the surfing and like a good like sprawl to technical stand-up kind of deal, it started making a lot of sense. But then I've not really ever had to use it necessarily in that way. So it was hard to do it like without having a person to do it on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or without being like I've only ever done it on a mat. So the mat never is moving, or there's a person under me and I can move laying on them, or there's a little bit of weight transfer and stuff like that. That's better. But I just I want to see it. I'm excited to see what it looked like, because I know that, like, that's what I said on my way out there. I was like, some of this is just going to be straight for the blooper reels. And the guy was just like, we're going to send it. And I was like, I'm just going to send it, bro. Let's go, and I didn't die. So I'm here to tell the story. I'm not.
That's what was interesting. Like rolling with Lorenzo.
Lorenzo. Yeah.
When I was rolling with him, is that like he's a guy that's I mean, is he belted under?
He's a purple belt.
He's a purple belt. He's a guy that you could tell that he was pretty much self-taught. Like that's what he was talking about, is that he was watching videos and he was doing everything, but he has an extra oomph from the because they do the big wave surfing. They do that growing up in the jungle, walking around in the jungle barefoot.
Those heels there everywhere.
Yeah, you're not gonna make dude scared or tired or anything. Like he was a really
that
fun
one dude was
roll.
like, yeah, you got to be able to hold your breath for 4 minutes to do whatever we do.
Oh, to do the wave, big wave surfing. Have you ever watched any of that stuff?
I've seen it on TV, I guess.
Bro.
But I haven't been.
That's
close
definitely
to it.
something that I want to do before.
Good luck.
Yeah. Me and Matt Elkins got to earn our blue belts in surfing before that's even a possibility.
Man, I feel like that's like a black belt surfer move.
No, I know. Before it's even a possibility, like that's I need to get past my one stripe white belt self right now. I stood up like 2 or 3 times.
I don't know, man. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying I'm not.
I like to shoot way above my league, man.
Y'all can figure it out. Hey, me too. Obviously, look at last week. We just do stuff. And what else? I guess there was a lot of like other things.
It was,
what did you think? Like, except for it was good.
Oh,
like, what was your
what
was your favorite part? Of
my
all of them?
favorite part of the technique portions, I think I told you this earlier, was probably Lindsay's passing, because I saw some details from it that I hadn't picked up on before, and so like it kind of like helped me solidify on how to get past some stuff and not get rolled off when I'm like going for that Doris. I was diving for the Doris when I was passing too quickly, and that was getting me swept. And so I got to see that from like what you were talking about. I got to see 3 different black belts discuss it off to the side after everybody's doing it. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I see different perspectives of like, he does it that way, she does it this way, they do it that way. And okay, I can find mine like somewhere in the middle there. Like,
bro, that stuff she was doing, I like hurt people.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I was trying to demonstrate a little bit of it this morning, and I just like popped Travis's hips or whatever. I was like, come over here, Becca, will you please do this so we don't hurt this guy? So we could like, yeah, it's super effective. That's what I mean. Yeah. It was giving him like, he was like, oh, it's not bad. And I was like, no, I don't think your hips are supposed to pop that way, like much.
Yeah. Well, and that's the big thing too, is that the whole camp had like a really good like female representation. Like there was like great like rounds and instruction and things of like for the ladies.
Every belt.
Yeah, every level, everybody was able to have things, and that's what I think that the whole camp was about for people, was to get that kind of one-off, being able to identify with somebody that like, you're taking this seriously enough to show up in a jungle to do jiu-jitsu.
That wasn't necessarily my intent, but that was really cool to see once it developed. I didn't realize it developed that way, and that was part of the idea with having Lindsay for sure. Was like, let's get a strong like female lead down here too, instead of just like a bunch of dudes telling them how to do it, and she could tell the dudes how to do it too, and they should listen. I thought. And I do think that's true. And I think most people, had a good time with all the lessons. Kyle's was really good, but dude, I have a hard time being so dynamic, like inverted. I just haven't spent, I guess, as much time doing it to get as good with it. But it just doesn't fit into my game as much. But seeing his explanation of stuff and the way that he thinks about doing it, or whatever, in the way that he does some of the stuff, it's like, oh, okay. Like you can understand, the art or the why and the reason that he does some of the stuff that he chooses to do versus other things that maybe.
Some of his stuff showed me places that were safe that I was unsure if they were safe or not. So I was like, oh, okay, like this is where he hangs out. This is where he spins through. This is where he's like, don't stay here. Like,
exactly.
Like,
that's what I mean too, because like you see it all happening fast sometimes, and you're like,
in competition, breaking down competition footage, you're like, I have no idea what he just did. I have to slow that down to like 30 frames or
but
whatever.
You could just sit and you could ask, like, when you do this or you do this, would you choose this or this? And
why?
And sometimes the answer is, I do this because I said, just want to, or you could just do the other thing.
Or
if you
I
want to.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's stuff that you can do, like we were talking about this morning in your passing, and like this has this always been for you for your jiu-jitsu, or is it been something that you've developed in the fact that like some of the stuff that you can do, you can definitively do and staple me down? It's like this. Is it just purely your size, or is it that you're doing the technique and the size makes it so horrible that I just let you pass?
It's not, I don't think it's always been, that way against good people.
Right.
I think against guys that don't have a lot of experience, my size has always been a real issue for them. But even stapling people when you have a lot of size takes a little bit of technique,
precision,
to a degree. But once they know stuff, if people can believe what they want to, sort of, but like it's almost harder to hold small people down when you're big if they're really good.
Yeah.
You can
more
do
space.
It. You just have to like get control of them, which is hard because there's not as much that you're used to being able to hold on to, So I've always tried to figure out how to do that, and then I think spending a lot of time in the gi made that a thing that I understood, how to do, and put some emphasis on it. Learning how to staple people and using grips and stuff to pin people's knees together. And when I switched over exclusively, being no-gi and then 10th Planet, I wanted to be able to kind of mimic the stuff that I was able to do before, and I couldn't because there was no way to grab and make it happen. So try to figure out how to do a lot of those things. And then sometimes, somehow throughout the course of the years, like things have cycled through, like, some things have came up on like mastering the system, and you'll see guys like Luis Quinones, who's like a really great guard passer. They put some of his stuff on there, and it's like, oh, okay, that's maybe a little bit of what I'm missing. Or then going to get a seminar like with Lindsay or whatever, it's like, oh, like that maybe is what I'm missing. People who are like maybe some of the smaller guys that know how to really, really staple people more, because they have they can.
Yeah.
Like I don't get like I said, like a lot of times if I really start applying a lot of these pressures, like the way that they demonstrate to do it, I'm going to get the pass faster because the pressure is so much greater.
You need somebody that has almost like an equal pound for pound strength type thing.
Like Josh this morning, for instance, or whatever,
could carry your weight,
to hold me and pick me up and move me around and stuff like that. It makes it harder, and he can take it. You know what I mean? His legs are big enough, his hips are strong enough and stuff like that. But still, if I bind up his hips and his feet in a certain way with my body weight and my pressure,
he's got to make a play, or he gets
he's just going to sit there and slowly
suffer.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And so it's interesting. I don't always do that because I don't want to be just stapling people and not moving through too much. But there's an element of that I guess, like you say, you got to have in.
There's a valuable.
Dude, for most people, it's very, very valuable.
Yeah. Staple somebody down and just beat them up.
And just hold them and make them wear themselves out trying to get away, or they'll reach up for something and push on your face or whatever. And that's when you can attack their arms or, get openings from the suffering, and so like, I just have my own ways of kind of doing it. I don't necessarily always hadn't always looked to pin people, but I would look to overwhelm people with like movement and different styles of pressure, or whatever, like putting you shoulder, like cross, I don't know, just I'd explain it differently, trying to be more mobile, passing and stuff like that. But now with people being so good at leg locks or whatever, it's forced me to have to really stop trying to be as mobile all the time, because people are just as mobile with their guards now, and you can't just get around them without exposing yourself to some more dangerous stuff. So
what was your biggest bring back to the gym? Like, what is it?
We just making sure that everybody's like doing the right thing culture wise when we're outside the house, so to say, right? And making sure that I emphasize those kind of things to everybody. Like we get caught up, being friends and stuff like that with each other or whatever. And not saying anybody did anything at our place or whatever, but just making sure that when we go places, you guys do become a representation of me. Like when we were meeting other people, it's like, oh hey, where do you train? I train with, whoever they train with, whatever they train with, Brandon and Lindsay in Decatur. And so then, it's like they act like an idiot, or they say some really crazy shit or whatever ends up happening. They're really like trying to hurt people, or, that whatever the case is, that gets back to us, other people, and they're like, hey, like your guy Isaac came in here and was like trying to hurt people and like being a jerk about it. Once we, tried to talk to him, he was like cussing us out or whatever. Right. It's like, oh no, that ain't how we do it. You know what I mean? Right. So and again, not any of that stuff happened. Not nearly,
no, but you can look around and see
that scale.
You can see the influence, like in a positive way.
No, that's what I mean.
And it's like, ooh, but this could go two ways.
I saw the power in the position.
There you go. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I see where we make the cult jokes. You know what I mean? All the time. And so just seeing the ability to be able to do that makes me want to make sure that I reiterate what I think we are supposed to do with what we do, even if it's anywhere in the world. This is how I want us to approach it. And that's it. This is how we do it. And if somebody's not doing that, then they are not representing us the right way, whoever this could be anywhere. And then if we say that, if it's part of the culture from the top down, most people will carry it, because it'll just be part of the culture. And then if somebody ever like breaks the code or whatever, we can all just point at it and be like, dude, this is what we said from the beginning. This is how it is, and if it's something enough, then they have to go, stuff like that. And so just making sure that we know who we are, if we're going to say we, because everybody's an individual and stuff like that. But we as a team and we as 10th Planet Perry, we are different, maybe in our own unique way, just like everybody else, and we're not better than everybody else. We're not worse than everybody else. I know our jiu-jitsu is very good. Like, we have good jiu-jitsu. There's no doubt about that. Other places have good jiu-jitsu too, right? But I want to make sure that we're trying to be good people as much or more than we're trying to be like the best jiu-jitsu person in the room or the best fighter in the room every day. And that's not what everybody's mindset is. And that doesn't make them wrong either. That doesn't
they can coexist. I think you saw that in the.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's space for both.
There's
but just making sure that we treat everybody from that elite level person all the way down to this new white belt with the same level of respect and care and appreciation and love. You know what I mean? Right. That lady that took her first class that day.
Oh, that's right. We did have somebody who took their very first class.
She set up the trip for her husband for his birthday to get to come train, and she was sitting there and hanging out or whatever. And I saw her start trying to not trying to, but she kind of crept towards the mat a little bit more the second or third.
Some of the ladies were talking to her, and
and I could have talked to her because I saw her reading her book the first night or whatever. Right. And I was like, thank you for bringing, thank you for bringing him in or whatever. I know you set this all up for him. I appreciate y'all, coming and stuff. And then she got a little bit closer, and I was like, it's cool, right? It's cool.
It looks fun.
And so, we just kind of like, why don't you just come on out, and just try it, whatever. And it's like, oh, I didn't sign up for it or whatever. It's like, no.
That's not cool. What this is about.
Like, now it's like,
you're here.
I'm going to force you to do it if you don't want to. Like, it's not even about anything else now, because they I guess like a reference, they do train with Brandon and Lindsay. And so the black belts from her school were there. So she got a chance to experience it in a really dope way, but then also got to sit down and talk to the instructors and get the information she may need to feel more comfortable by the time she comes into her first class. So that was super, super cool. And so just by being nice to her and being open with her and being willing to explore that stuff, maybe we created another jiu-jitsu person in the way. Maybe not, but maybe she does. Maybe she falls in love with it and it goes all the way through. That would be dope. But That's to say, it didn't matter to me though if it's the best guy or a girl in the room or whatever, or like a day one person. Like I wanted to teach. I wanted my lesson to be able to be relevant to everybody too. Like, of course, I want to wow people with like the stuff that I do, but then I also want to make sure that I have information that doesn't just go over people's heads. That's, I guess, kind of what I meant about the nervousness of teaching. Is like, how do I teach to people that I respect so much that I think
Right.
maybe have
Like
a lot.
I want to learn from you.
Yeah, I want you to show me something. What do I show you? But then what do I also have that's relevant to these people who are probably in their first, year?
But is
or
that not
two?
something you pick up as being an instructor? Is all of a sudden sometimes you start picking stuff up, like the white belt shows you something, the day, like the week 3 guy shows you something.
No,
you're
it
like,
happens.
oh, that is kind of an interesting detail.
Yeah, I ask. That's why I try to ask you guys questions more or less instead of just stating fact or opinion as fact.
Right.
It's like, I'll say this is what I think, but a lot of times I'm like, show me. And if I can't argue it away or whatever, if I can't explain it away, then I'll just let you kind of go with it. And then I may come back later when I see somebody counter it a few times or whatever. I see somebody beating it, then I can be like, oh, this thing or whatever. Maybe go with that instead. So yeah. So just for me, the biggest takeaway is that it's still culture over everything else. It doesn't matter. Like the jiu-jitsu is going to be good. Like our jiu-jitsu is going to be good. Other schools' jiu-jitsu is going to be good. We're going to win and lose competitions if we go out and compete a lot. Some people are going to win a lot. Some people are going
Playing
to
the
lose.
game.
It's just the way it is, right? Man, Los Jefes dominated Mario Kart. You know what I mean? That was a thing. It's okay. It's okay, Brandon.
Wait, Los Jefes.
The Jefes.
Oh, that's great. So turn into the dream show to get that joke.
Yeah, we dominated Mario Kart as a squad. You know what I mean? And so that was good.
So there was never a good opportunity to insert any of these comments, but Mandy said that Misha was killing it in the surfing.
See.
Mom said that it's women listen, and that is true. Let's
Where
see.
she said that? I don't see that.
I think she's on Brandon's channel.
Oh, Miss Amy.
And let's see. Chris said that the lockdown escape has been super useful, and the head and arm triangle details. That means he's been running it back home.
Thank you. Or he hasn't been back yet.
He hasn't been back? Is he
it was
back?
Just useful in general.
Oh, useful in general.
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's what he means. But thanks. And he trained a lot.
I wasn't trying to fire shots. I was just
no. I'm sure. I just don't think he's been back enough to say how troubleshooting it's been.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I think it's super useful too. And I didn't realize that, honestly, like that was a thing that people didn't do a lot. That's kind of what I mean. Like sometimes I just assume everybody knows what I know. Like the simple things, to me, the things that I think are really easy now, I forget that I've also spent just like a lot more time thinking about that particular thing maybe than other people have. Not that I'm better at everything they do, you know what I mean? But just maybe at least like maybe passing out of people's lockdown, I have a really good game at.
Chris said he's been back. That's all he said. So
I got it on me.
That's how I took that. All right, man. Fire your shots. 2 full training days at home and using that technique last week at camp. So
yeah, Chris, you're a legend.
Fire your shots, dog.
You crushed the camp, dude. You definitely made it a lot more.
He made me stop guillotining him.
Memorable.
His arms are like
long,
8.5 feet long.
Yeah, super long. Super long. He got up and surfed a few times too.
I think he did. I think he did.
Yeah, you had the full experience. Yeah, and then the kids came 3 or 4 nights to train.
I did forget about the kids because let's circle back around to the Mats and the kids and Lorenzo and all that. So he has a group of kids there had to be maybe a dozen kids.
I think
maybe more,
close to a dozen. We'll say generously,
we'll say 12.
Yeah, or conservatively, whatever, 10 to 12. That train with him, and I've seen him trying. He's been trying to do this, stuff for a while. And like I said, the first times we've trained there, we were training like at his aunt's yoga studio or on top of the hostel across from El Avion. We trained there the first time, but it was on those little like 1/2-inch school like play mat, puzzle mats. And it's fine. Like if you really want to train, you'll do it on those or whatever. But it's not the most comfortable way to get down. And he only had like 12 or 15 of them, so it wasn't much. So just the idea kind of sprung from that too, that maybe if I can build this camp that can buy mats to get down here, and then even if we just give the mats to Lorenzo, he can have them for a school, and if we want to come back, we can just use them while we're here or whatever. And so that was like, not thinking about like having nearly as many mats as we have right now, but just just enough to
just a room full of mats,
enough to beef up his space, which is wasn't a ton. You know what I mean? And then like I said, as it kind of developed, and last year got shut down, just decided to get like the bigger sections of mats or whatever. And now that we've had them all, not all of them laid out, but as many as we laid out, we had extra. Not necessarily really. We could have used all of them, but we kept a few that we didn't put out. We just gave Lorenzo, enough to outfit the space that they use for the kids of the thick mats that we use. They're still puzzle mats or whatever, but they're like
they were puzzle mats. But
nice.
Honestly, I was not upset with training on them, and that was a very, very good training surface.
Yeah, I tried to. We spent the money, dude. We spent the money, to try to do it right. And we wanted everybody to have a good time, and we wanted everybody to be comfortable. And then, like I said, the access to the stuff was not there. It's really hard to get that kind of stuff down there, obviously. And even so much that the owner of Hotel Costa Verde commented that he didn't really even think that we were going to be able to pull it off.
Yeah.
He's like, and he's like, I bet this was really expensive by the time it got here, huh? While we were like walking around talking. I was like, yes, sir. He's like, yeah, I know. I was like, I bet you do. That's why I wanted to talk to you and hang out with you though, maybe, and pick your brain a little bit about stuff. Cause I like going down there, man. I'd like to figure out how to maybe do some of what he did. I don't want to need a whole, like half of the mountain like he's got, but maybe just, let your boy get a house sliver. Or something. You know
a little sliver.
A little house with a pool. Shit. That's all I'm saying. I don't need that much, man. I mean, I'm easy to please. You give me some jiu-jitsu mats, I can just sit and look at the water the rest of the time. That's it. I'm good. You go play with the kids or whatever.
But that was the kids, technically it was interesting to me because like these kids I found out I need to work on my Spanish before we go back. I definitely need to work on my Spanish. I could not even communicate at a pre-K level. But they were able to hop in, and these kids were able to do jiu-jitsu with me in a way that was like recognizable. Of like, oh, you know how to do an armbar. All right, I'll go through the motions with you. Mm-hmm. Oh no, you know the transition to my back. Now you're taking my back and you're gonna choke me. Like,
stop it.
Like, oh wow.
They were really excited to be there, man. It was so much fun. Like, maybe those kids will.
I'd like to do some more with the kids next time. Like maybe have like a day camp on a day, like have like one of the kids come through.
We had discussed, but we didn't know for sure
how it would happen.
Again, that was another one of those things that we wanted.
That'd be really cool.
It's gonna happen. That's why once we were there, he was like, I was like, just bring them to the open mat stuff and we'll get them in there.
Yeah.
And then we'll build the relationship a little bit that way.
Yeah.
And then when we come back next year,
that kid,
they will have that 1 year of
yeah,
exactly. And then we can all do our best to maybe give a seminar to the kids each day also, or a mini one once or twice a week with somebody that's there. That's exactly part of the plan. And for me, I want to help Lorenzo. I want to spend time being able to teach him too, and like give him more information because he is
help them out. They're a very neighborhood driven type spot too.
They're close. They're close knit, man. They're right there. Everybody's like, they don't travel a lot very easily. The cars or whatever. They don't always use cars. They have those little dirt bikes, so they don't go far, hours and hours a day and back. Like a lot of us do. Very easily, so they stay close and they all know each other right there on the edge of that mountain. One way in, kind of, not really necessarily, but one way in, one way out. You gotta know where you're at to get going. So they all grow up there. They know each other. Like Lorenzo's there, his dad grew up there. Like met Lorenzo's dad's best friend. Stuff like that. They're all there, and they've kind of seen the evolution of that area. Also, I'm not sure if it's for better or for worse in every situation for everybody, but it's really grown. And Lorenzo's interest in jiu-jitsu and MMA and stuff is really like maybe created another, avenue of things for people in that area to have, because now we want to be there. Now we're going to try to do more of it. And as his programs build up, those people have access to all of us that come down there, once we leave or whatever. Everybody's, like I said, everybody was cool. So now everybody was like, oh, y'all should come up here with us and hang out, or we'll, whatever, and so that's cool to me that the connections are made. It's like helping people level up without me having to physically grab them and pull them up now. You know what I mean? That's
kind of spreading the culture and evolving it.
Man.
Yeah.
And that's what I was trying to do too, is just sitting back and let people like
the dream.
Yeah.
Let people live the dream.
Let them develop, man. Let it develop in front of me.
It's almost like it's in the name.
Sit back and watch. I really did. I wanted to just kind of chill most of the time when I wasn't, training or having to teach or whatever. I wanted to just kind of kick back and stare at the water and not be on a boat getting sick. Dude, the guys from Austin, they caught some freaking like marlins. No, they
caught some mahi,
and
they caught some lobster and stuff like that.
I'm unfamiliar with the fish.
The different terminologies.
It was a shiny big fish.
Yeah,
it looked like a marlin. I don't know what they are though. Maybe it didn't have the like thing on it. So nice.
But they went out and they did all the.
I didn't want to go out into the water. Like, we're gonna go out and get some fish.
Some
or
more
whatever.
fish.
It's like, all right, man.
You already knew about the boat.
Handle that.
So,
y'all go get some fishing in or whatever. So there's
there's a little bit of everything for everybody down there. I know that they do a bunch of free diving, they do scuba, there was snorkeling when we were on the
off of the catamaran.
Off the catamaran.
I wasn't sure.
That was cool.
It was a little murky, because it was churning and stuff. But Mandy said when she got up close to that rock, she could see some fish and stuff out there.
Yeah, you can see some fish. Usually when you're doing that type of stuff, you have to dive down below that surface. Mm-hmm. Like what makes it all look super green is like what's all in there. If you get up underneath that, that's when you can kind of see.
But the water getting to your thing,
you're holding your breath at that point. You dive down below to see, man.
Yeah, I get that, but then you just like blow it out or whatever.
Yeah, when you get to the top and you need to breathe, you blow it out. Yeah,
that makes sense.
You clear it and then you breathe.
Not a snorkeler.
Yeah. That's how that works. But if you were seasick, I would not have suggested you getting down and putting your face down and just bobbing down in the water like that. I don't think that would have worked out for you,
dude. Actually, when I got out in the water after we stopped again, it was kind of cool just to kind of sit out there and just be in the water. It didn't feel as bad as being on the boat and just being like whoosh, whoosh, and sideways and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
it's not the size of the boat; it's motion of the ocean.
Yeah, I actually think I referenced that
a couple of times.
Yeah, I was.
Anything else in the jiu-jitsu world going on?
Trying to make myself laugh. There's a
ADCC's coming up. There's a tournament locally going on.
Local tournament. We're gonna have a few people trying to go out to the Good Fight submission only tournament.
Yeah.
I know some other schools that are going to be bringing people down and saying, the Good Fight, they put on like one of the only submission only like opens, I guess you would say, where everybody can come and compete. So that'll be cool, like because everybody else always has points in their opens. So that'd be fun to get out there and see everybody get some rolls in against other people in a rule set that favors a little bit more of our style, maybe. And I think a few of the kids program are going to go out there too for the first time. So that's got me excited and nervous for them because you know how competing is or whatever. You can win or lose even if you're really prepared and ready to go and try your best. So I just want to make sure that they're ready for whatever can happen, winning and losing. And then also,
what is it did you tell the kid that's about to start?
Man, so see, that's the thing. I haven't really ever walked out there with them, and I think it's going to be different for each kid, because now that I'm starting to understand their personalities or whatever, I think just like you guys, they all need something different. Mm-hmm. Some people don't need a lot of that, like, you can do it, and like you're strong and tough or whatever kind of motivation. But some people need that kind of talk. Some people you just need to tell them, hey, you're going to go out here, you're going to make sure you get your hands bop, 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 and then go to work. You know what I mean? So there's certain kids that you'll be able to. It feels like we can not tune into yet so much that it's like a video game, but there's a few of them that if you can sit down and give them about 5 minutes of your undivided attention and they are into it, they'll know what you're talking about when you say it, and they can do it on other people who don't necessarily, again, get that thing yet. It's like, hey, I want you to go in here, snap down to the front headlock. Okay. And then other kids don't really understand that's a thing you can kind of do. They just end up in your head with their head in your arms, and so you can start seeing them go out there and start setting up front headlocks or, trying to take the back or stuff like that. So I'm excited to see how that's going to play out. It does make me nervous, but it makes me nervous for the adults too in the same way, right? I just want you guys to do good for yourselves, right? I want the outcome to be you being happy with your own performance, right? Not necessarily for me. I don't want y'all to go out there or them, anybody, to feel like the pressure's on to win because Coach Stephen's going to be upset or whatever if I lose, or he's going to be disappointed if I lose. The only reason I would be like disappointed is if you have a bad attitude about stuff or like just do some really like egregious fouls or stuff like that. And then the only reason I would like feel bad is because probably you feel bad, and I hate to see my people being sad or whatever. So, but it's part of the process of growth. You got to go through those moments and realize that you can overcome it, and you can show back up to class on Monday and still have fun again with jiu-jitsu and with training, and nobody's gonna like hold that against you if you go out there and just do your best. And like this is a thing that I'm trying to get the kids to understand now, and hopefully the adults do understand it. But like, if you go out there and you really try your best, you really have no reason to be disappointed, except for that you didn't like get the goal that you wanted. But you shouldn't be like upset with yourself. You shouldn't like devalue yourself or any stuff like that. If you did your best, because then you are the only one that knows that, though. Like internally, you're the only one that knows if you actually tried your best.
What was
It's not what coach. It's not what we talked about before, coach. It's none of that other stuff. But on this day, at this time, did I do the best I thought I could do? That's all anybody can ever ask for. And if it doesn't work out for you in that situation, man, I know how that feels. So come on, let's go hang out and talk about that. Like, it sucks, right? And then that's my experience. That's most people's experience in jiu-jitsu. Some days you're going to go out there and get mopped up. And a lot of people have those opportunities, or not opportunities, but those things on the way up. Once you get to a high level, that's when you see people that don't ever hardly lose or don't get tapped out for years at a time or whatever. But most of those people got beat up a lot at white, blue, and purple belt and stuff like that. It took them just as long to get good, but we see them, and it's like, I want to be like Kyle Chambers, man. I want to be out there, combat jiu-jitsu worlds, stuff like that. And it's like, yes, do that, but also make sure you're doing as much work as Kyle did to get to that point. Because he didn't just show up and walk out there and they're like, we're going to get Kyle out here. He looks like the guy. He got to be the guy because he did all that work. He looks that way because he does a lot of work to look that way with his stuff.
Yeah, he was out there running hills at the hotel. I heard him talking to me. He's like, hey, hit me up in the morning if y'all want to go run hills. And
and like,
he was serious.
Just like his game, though. Like, he's good at it because he does those inversions. Like he said, like that's a huge.
That's what he practices.
He does it like religiously, and that's what he likes, and that's what he does, and that's why he does it so much better than so many other people. Is he better than everybody at that stuff? No, but he's definitely top, percentage of people who do it, and so
because he does top percentage stuff.
Exactly. So it's just, whatever. Have fun, do the things you like to do, but just know that you can lose, and it's okay. Just don't not try your best. If you don't try your best, then you lose. If you don't do your best effort and you lose,
that's on you.
Yeah, you should feel a little bit bad. Like, not necessarily, not in a shameful way, but just like in a motivational way.
You should do more.
Yeah, you should feel like, man, next time I'm going to try harder. Not that, I'm going to let them break my arm. Now, if you're caught, tap. Now, that's the thing, right? It's not
people misinterpret try harder.
Try harder is not like hold the tap out longer. Try harder is like, maybe we need to get in one more session a week over the next 6 to 8 weeks and see if you can get those extra 6 hours to pump you over the edge, because you can't commit 10 hours a week to training yet more.
Right.
But maybe if you get one more class, can we do that? Like one of the things Richie did to me, I was going to like 10 a.m. classes a lot because they were the most convenient for my schedule. And he was like, man, I need you to start coming to the 6 a.m. classes because you'll get a lot better training. You'll get a lot more attention in that class, and you'll get a lot better being in that class. And so I just kind of had to modify my schedule to start being able to do that, just getting up and doing it. And now I'm the 6 a.m. guy because I realized how beneficial that was for me to have those 2 to 3 extra hours a week where I was getting like really focused and dedicated work.
There's something different about starting your day with jiu-jitsu too.
Well, I wasn't just cramming it in the middle of other stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like an
it's
afterthought.
all you can focus on.
The first thing I was doing was like, I was coming here to do jiu-jitsu. So that was like, I woke up, I was hydrated, had my coffee, stretched a little bit before I left the house, ready for jiu-jitsu. Not, man, I've already done conditioning and cardio today one time. Thomas is over here on the side needing to eat. You know what I mean? Got to make sure he's taken care of. And then I got, oh man, it's today sparring. No, today's kickboxing. Oh no, it's wall fighting today.
Yeah.
Man, all that hurts. So I'm gonna take it easy in jiu-jitsu today.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was happening. And so then once I put jiu-jitsu first, I got so much better at jiu-jitsu. But like focusing your energy on the right stuff can help a lot, right? And sometimes taking those L's and somebody giving you a fairly blunt criticism that's like not wrong can be helpful. It hurts in that moment and it doesn't feel good to be in that moment when you're getting those corrections or whatever, and you realize it was something that you could have done better. But that's like the path to excellence or whatever, is realizing like, oh man, that was my fault. I could have done this a little bit better. And so now I'm going to work on my guard passing, or man, I'm not going to leave my arm out for that Kimura again. You know what I mean? Like, cause those lessons, that's what people say. You don't lose, you learn. You know what I mean? No, you learn because you lost. You know what I mean? That makes it permanent. It's emotion.
Yeah.
Those emotions are real, and you can really like get lifelong lessons from that if you dig into what that loss was. Was it because you got beat up by somebody better? Hey, sometimes that's the lesson, is that there's just people better than you. Sometimes it's because you left your arm out there too long thinking, or whatever you were thinking, not thinking, whatever it was, you made a mistake and left it out there. Or maybe you thought that you were okay, and as you were trying to pull away, they re-cinched something and it caught you. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, from now on, I have to make sure, like for instance, for me, escaping an armbar one time in the EBI overtime, I thought I was out. And so like, as I was pulling out, I just kind of relaxed, and the dude shot his hips back up and tapped me because I wasn't out yet. Like they hadn't called to stop, but in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm out. And he was like, no, and it crapped out my arm for a little bit. And I was like, all right, noted. From now on, I'm going to make sure. That's why I tell y'all, make sure you're out. Over exaggerate, getting clear of everything. A lot of the things I say to y'all is not to make you like an example.
Mine was learned in
mine is a personal example of like, hey, I've done this. I know if you don't clear, sometimes you're going to get caught. You don't always have to do this. But if you don't, the one time you don't, it's going to make you really sad,
Yeah.
So those are some of the things I think. And we got to I wanted the kids to kind of understand stuff like that. Scuba in December.
Oh yeah. That was
when you do it?
Ago. That's apparently when you do it. And I guess my sisters are now planning a scuba trip back down there.
So that's like the high season down there when it's the most clear. It's around Christmas time and stuff like that. It's super nice.
What Matt Freeman asked, what kind of guard do y'all recommend for older grapplers with crappy joints? Half open, closed, or wrestle up? I don't know if I call wrestle up a guard, but
I mean it's a strategy though. Protect your neck there in that situation if your hips are bad.
I would imagine
it's gonna be hard to wrestle up and stuff
either,
too.
Though.
Dude, for me and most people that I talk to, I think it is a variations of half guard that can work for you
as you're aging.
Yeah, for sure. Getting on a hip, you can stay on a hip. You can keep your posture.
Roll into deep half.
Yeah. Deep half works a lot. I use lockdown a lot, but my knees don't give me much trouble when I use it. So if your knees give you trouble using lockdown, maybe that's not going to be the move for you. But like deep half's a good one with Taylor that trains with us. Is a good style with
I
Machado.
like deep
A
half.
black belt. He kills me with it a lot of times. Like if I just like sleep for a second, he's like boom, boom. And it's like, man, you know. And
Now you're
yeah,
attached to my leg.
yeah, exactly. And I don't have a next good move to make, you know. So deep half's a really good one for that. I think developing that. I don't think a lot of people play it as well as they used to because it's not one of the in vogue styles or whatever. But back in the day, man, like Minotaur and Nagaro and stuff like that, a lot of the guys were mimicking a lot of the good stuff he was doing for MMA and stuff. Because people are like, oh, it'll get you beat up. But if you do it right, it keeps you safer in a lot of situations. And I think it can protect your knees or whatever because you're not having to like frame and push and like jam your knees in the middle of stuff as much. So yeah, my suggestion would be trying to figure out a half guard maybe that works on your better side up.
Like, on the good side.
I like to have all right, whatever. I have a really bad like right hip and knee at this point. So I play right leg down, left leg up. Okay. And that I can frame really hard. My left side is strong. My left knee doesn't pop.
Can you play all the way into a Z almost with that?
With my left, I can, not with my right.
No,
so that's kind of what I was saying this morning. Like when you start doing some of the passes we were talking about this morning, if you go one way, you may not get it. But if you go the other way, I'm going to just go ahead and just be like,
make the other play. Yeah.
I'm going to pass over for you and try to get on away from the next thing.
Yeah.
So it's just a thing like that. So like being aware of which one's which and then being, able to work around it, you know what I mean? But dude, do as many like strengthening exercises and stuff for your knees and your hips as you can, because that'll help a lot of that stuff. Also, not saying you got to go out here and be squatting and
Bosa balls, like the what are those called? Isn't that right? The Bosa balls, the little like half shell ball thing. Like that's what my therapist talked about with my hip, of like standing on those as much as possible and like doing the like bouncing a ball and like trying to stabilize and stuff like that.
So yeah, that would be a few of the things I would suggest for that idea as someone who's also kind of battling that same idea. What else we got? Josh Adams. Don't nobody like you anymore, Josh.
So yeah, anything else going on? There was ADCC coming up. Anything you're watching for? I hadn't really paid much attention.
There's so many people that are going to be there that it's interesting now to see what that's going to look like. That's going to be so much.
Do you think thinning it out like that will change who makes it through the bracket?
Not thinning it.
I mean,
making it so
deep, like because it's going to spread those guys out to where they don't take each other out.
Maybe.
Right? Or they run the risk of just getting taken out by nobody.
Other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you see those, like, or you have a really hard match, like kind of like I was talking about this morning, you know, having a hard match with one dude.
That's a solid dude, but he's not a world.
Right? It doesn't necessarily carry over, but he was a hard match for you.
Right.
Like, and it's like, well, dang, now I'm not as well up for kind of Duarte or whatever, you know, when I match up with him, because he would be in my division, just as why I said him. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like all of a sudden now you're standing in front of Craig Jones, third round, and you just had two really tough guys that you barely eked past.
Barely made through.
Heel hook two guys or whatever in like 30 seconds because they were purple belts or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like you as a purple belt right now would have trouble with other purple belts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of the thing. And then for me, good, strong stud wrestlers or whatever that are big, they give me trouble. It's hard to pull guard on them in a meaningful way that doesn't also cause too much trouble without having to really get into the go with them. And with the point structure and the way it works, half of the round is non-committal for them because they understand that they don't want to give up an opportunity for me to get points later in the match when I've kind of cooked it down. And, you know, not me necessarily, but people like me. And so they play the positional game. And then when it's like points, there's like, oh, time to start like passing the guard and stuff like that now and getting the action going and scoring or whatever. Or they'll do the takedown right as points start, and then they get the 2 and then they'll stall it. So I think it's going to make it very hard, and especially for the big guys. Heavyweights are going to, I was talking with Josh this morning about it. And if it's more than, you know, the normal amount, like, I don't know I've not really seen a bigger than 20-person heavyweight bracket that I've ever been in. you know, even when it was able to be that big. So it's going to be crazy to see that many, you know, heavyweight adult men go out there to compete. You know what I mean? Because I think we had like 20 at the last ADCC trials I did on the West Coast. And that was four and a half rounds or whatever, you know, depending on who you were. So like a couple people had buys or whatever.
That's gonna be a long day.
It's a couple
to
of
get
days.
through 800 people.
It had to go to a couple of days. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think it's gonna make people or break people for sure, because it's not gonna be easy. You're gonna have to really pick and choose your spots. So anybody that gets through these trials is gonna be like a gangster. Anybody that gets to the top like 4 in any of these brackets is going to be pretty gangster.
Yeah.
Even if it's not somebody that you know, it's going to be somebody that you're going to know about now.
Yeah, like, because they just fought their way through.
Do you know what I mean? There's
gauntlet,
no shame in that whatsoever, going out there and losing in some of these brackets, I bet. So
that's November, right?
Yeah, it's in a few weeks, a couple weeks. I don't know, Josh, you still watching? Put it in the comments for the people. I don't know. I'm a little bit out of the loop with like other pop culture trends because I was down in Costa Rica last week or whatever, and then the week before that was about literally the only thing I could think about was trying to get that done. So I'm a little bit out of the loop with
November 6th.
Yeah, so 3 weeks or so, 21 days.
That in the business is what they call a callback.
Let's see. We got our kids' Halloween party this Friday, whatever, for the kids program. Saturday's my daughter's birthday party. The Halloween the next weekend. November the 6th, I'll be in Tifton, Georgia at Thrive down at Richard Schoenecker School doing a seminar. I think he's got that up for $60. Be happy to see anybody that wants to come down there and kick it and train with us, trying to go down there and get some work done in the region, you know, keep going back and forth. I was going back and forth at 6 a.m., man, but it got heavy going back and forth every morning at 6 a.m. like that, or not every morning, but the 2 mornings a week, over and over like that. So we're trying to figure out how to keep it as regular as we can. Now that Costa Rica's over, we'll be back on some kind of routine thing, going down there and working with those guys. What else? Is that it?
There was and then there's PGF in January.
PGF's coming up in January. And then I guess, like, since we were talking about it right now, we are gonna do a special deal. We've already kind of announced it to the people who are at the camp that will get them in and reserve their spots. But then after that, we're gonna have our site up for the other people who may want to go ahead and jump in and reserve their spots. Because I think the number is gonna be like 45, whatever, or maybe 40.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah. I think that was what we could have. Like,
that's about a full mat.
Yeah, that would be about what we have, plus about 5 to 10 people, based on whatever like occupancy.
Of people that were like, oh, we wanted to go.
Yeah, right. And so, like, if people do come, then cool. If people, you know, decide not to come, there'll be a couple, like I said, 10, 15 new people that could come and just be in there. So we're gonna have all that stuff up. We've been working on, like, organizing a little bit more of that and having it ready to drop before next year. That way, there's plenty of time to do everything that you need to do before you go on this trip. Like, because if you've never done a trip like this, you need to be prepared.
Planning.
Like, you need to have a lot of planning done, people. You can't be like me. You can't just go out there and wing it, like, unless you're that kind of person. If you go out there and you'll still pull your hair out. Yeah, I mean, but that's all right. I'm all right with it, you know. To a degree, right? We had to get our passports. That's what I'm saying. Like, you need to do the planning parts of the really important stuff, like making sure you have a passport, making sure you have access to, like, funding for a place to stay, and maybe do you need a car, do you need insurance, like all those kind of things can like really stack up on you in the last 3 months if you haven't really thought that through. So, like, yeah, we typically do try to plan these trips for, you know, a year at a time when we were going on most, because it takes that long to kind of make sure you have, unless you're just really rich and then you can just pay for everything. And if that's the case, come on down to the Dream Nugget Camp in 2022.
We'll give you a whole house.
Yeah, you can. Hey, we'll find you a whole house. You can buy like 2 houses if you want to. There's opportunity, right? They can cater whatever from, you know, if you need like 1 bed, 1 room for 1 person, you know, all the way up to, we were in like a 9-bedroom house that could hold up to 22 people, it said, or whatever. That would be way too many people for me at that place, even if as big as it was. I
I think you could have got away with like 15 to 20. I think 22 might have edged
15 is going to be
those
what I
last
look at.
two would be the people that you were like, man, who are these people?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Where's
their
do we
bed?
need these last two
Yeah.
people?
So I think 15.
They get left on the catamaran.
Oof. 15 is what we were going to say for that one. You know, even though that's how many different beds there were. So like I think that's including like couples. Like you put 2, 2, 2, 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to be doing that. So yeah, it was all in all a super great experience. I'm glad that we got through it. I'm glad that it's done now to give some energy to some other stuff for a little while. And dude, thank you for like stepping up and taking such a big role and making sure stuff was running smoothly with like cleaning up and getting the mats orderly. And there was other people that helped too. Becca and Zach were really helpful with like helping maintain mats and stuff. So thank you guys. Y'all weren't really like compensated for your efforts or anything, but the love goes out to you guys strong.
The wandering grappler will always find a way to grapple. Sir.
Yes. He will wander himself into some mops and brooms and cleaning supplies if he needs to. So it just took a lot. That took a lot of the pressure off of me having to make sure that I was going to do it every day and stuff like that. Because that's kind of what I was doing or going to do was making sure that I knew somebody would step up and help me a little bit, but you guys just kind of took it on yourselves to get it done. So I really appreciated that. And then obviously, like I said, to the sponsors first. Earlier, the Musgrove Trial Firm, 678-226-1994. If you are in an accident and you need to call somebody, it should be your buddy, right? Call Buddy Musgrove at the Musgrove Trial Firm. They helped us out a lot, dude. He hooked us up with some stuff to help like get the catamaran like taken care of because we paid for that for everybody as part of their camp dues or whatever. And so once we realized that was going to be more expensive than we thought or whatever, he kicked in and like helped us out and took care of that for us. So thanks for that. Foxhound Fuel for hydrating the folks. Dogfight Dojo Supernatural Survival Gear. The Wandering Grappler. You can get this t-shirt and other things that will make you wonder.
Rash guards are going on sale tomorrow. Pre-sale.
See, I didn't even know that, man. There's going to be a pre-sale for rash guards tomorrow on his site. You should get one.
TheWanderingGrappler.com.
That's what it's going to be. TheWanderingGrappler.com.
Oh, it's already there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what it's going to be. You should be there. You should type that into your little thing. Like, don't leave YouTube yet, but like type it into some notes or write it on paper, whatever you do, and go there like as soon as we say bye.
And then the seminars from the camp will be coming to your Kajabi.
Seminars from the camp will be coming to Kajabi. We'll figure out a fair enough rate for that. That way Isaac and the other instructors can get some compensations off of those things. But if anybody's interested in those, yes, we'll have those posted up. Really good guard passing seminars, I think, from Lindsay, and mine was okay. And then Kyle did a really good like inversion seminar and leg lock seminar. So those will be coming up from the Nogi camp in Costa Rica. That is thedreamnogi.mykajabi.com. If y'all want to peruse that a little bit, we got class archives that are going up too. Yeah, so check that out. Jump in there, click around a little bit. Let me know what you guys think. Glad to be back to work. Super excited to be looking at to the future now that we've accomplished some major goals, man. So like really the sky's the limit at this point. We just got to make sure that we, like I said, stay on point with the culture and stay on point with the message, because that's what's gotten us this far. That's what helped me the most successful, right? So I want to make sure that stays that way, even if you get so big or whatever, right? Because that's when you see things get lost or whatever, when people let the culture change without paying attention to it as it grows. So I really want to make sure we're doing that, because I think that's the best part of it. So thanks everybody that came to the camp. You guys made it the best camp ever. That wasn't really all me, you know what I mean? Like I helped set it up or whatever, but the people that were there hanging out, being cool with each other, the training and all that like stuff, like beating Brandon in Mario Kart, all that stuff was the best stuff about the camp.
Tune into the Dream Show to catch the behind the scenes.
El Jefe out.